I mean, you saw the group of undocumented immigrants, for example, who worked for Donald Trump and showed that they actually paid more in taxes than he did.
Pete Buttigieg was maybe the most annoying candidate during the 2020 Democratic primary. He was evasive when he was hit with questions. He was overly polished, rehearsed, lied about Medicare for all. Constantly, his health care plan was just a public option in disguise. That said, as much as I still don't like him, his recent appearances on Fox News have been incredible. This is the exact kind of approach you have to have as somebody who is a Democrat going on Fox News. So I have a couple clips here. Let me start with the first one.
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned the stimulus and the stopping of the negotiation and what President Trump tweeted. They say that that stopped because Nancy Pelosi would not come off the $2.2 trillion and included in there some poison pills for Republicans. And they're saying they'll pass, would like to pass some other single-focused bills like checks, stimulus checks directly to families and other things, to airlines. Why not do that?
Well, the House already passed a bill. It's a good bill, and Mitch McConnell won't even put it up for an up or down vote. If they think it's bad, they can vote it down, but it's really revealing that they won't even take it that far.
Well, there's a legal immigrants support in there. It grants protections for employers who hire undocumented immigrants. There's other things that are not tied to the coronavirus specifically that, you know,
yeah, it's true. When you have employers, when you have employers like the Trump
said
organization,
yesterday that bringing people together was what it should be.
You still want to make sure that they don't get COVID. Right? I mean, you saw the group of undocumented immigrants, for example, who worked for Donald Trump and showed that they actually paid more in taxes than he did. The workplaces that they're in are workplaces where all different people are, and customers too. And I think we would all agree that we want everybody, regardless of their immigration status, to be free of this deadly virus.
So just going back to my original question about the things that, you know, when you run for president, you have a record on all of these issues. And then we've seen that record and her stance on them changing over time. So there's no doubt she's going to be asked about that tonight. Can you give us some insight into what she might say to justify why she was for Medicare for all then and is not for it now, for example?
Well, there's a classic parlor game of trying to find a little bit of daylight between running mates. And if people want to play that game, we could look into why an evangelical Christian like Mike Pence wants to be on a ticket with the president caught with a porn star, or how he feels about the immigration policy that he called unconstitutional before he decided to team up with Donald Trump. If folks want to play that game, we could do it all night. But I think what most Americans want to hear about is, are our families going to be better protected than they have been by this president who's failed to secure America in the face of one of the most dangerous things ever to happen to our country?
Okay. Now, he goes on to ask another question. These hosts here, Martha McCallum and Brett Baer, they're just stunned. It's important to think here, or think about why Pete Buttigieg was not popular during the primary, yet he's able to come off so brilliant here. And it's because these skills that Pete Buttigieg has are just not effective unless the facts are on your side. So when he's trying to sell his Medicare for all who want it, which is not Medicare for all at all, it just comes off as a guy who is a phony politician, just lying, overly polished, evasive. But when he's out here turning these questions around and making some obvious points about why is Mike Pence on a ticket with Donald Trump if he's actually an evangelical, why would you not care about taking care of immigrants when coronavirus affects all of us if you care about humans? So being able to turn around questions like this is a skill that very few people are able to do effectively, at least the way that Pete Buttigieg does here. That said, I still don't like him. He's still weaselly. If Biden wins, he will be somebody who will be trying to fight against the left. It's important to keep that in mind. But it's also important to see that people like this, it's good to have them on your side during a fight in the few weeks before an election. Now, I have one more clip here, which is just as effective, just as entertaining as that one was.
Well, it's too bad. I don't know why the president's afraid to participate in a debate. You know, all of us have had to get used to virtual formats, right? I mean, parents are you know, having to deal with e-learning, which in some cases, you know, is not what we're used to. Well, it's always not what we're used to. I mean, we're having to take meetings over Zoom. It's not something I think most of us enjoy, but it's a safety measure. And I think part of why the U.S. is falling behind, is badly behind the rest of the developed world on dealing with the pandemic is because every time there's been a choice between doing something in a way that's more safe or less safe, this president seems to push for less safe. I think it's also probably a reflection of the weakness of his campaign. You know, when you see campaigns getting the kind of bad news that he's been getting through this month, a lot of times you'll see these kinds of increased arguments over rules, withdrawing from opportunities, a little bit of flailing there, and it's too bad because I think you know the more the American people can hear two candidates side by side, even if it's virtual, the better. Of course, the only reason we're here in the first place is that the president of the United States is still contagious, as far as we know, with a deadly disease, which reflects the overall problem. And you know, I don't know why you would want to be in a room with other people if you were contagious with a deadly disease and you care about other people. But maybe the president doesn't care about other people.
Well,
all right. Again, that was just so well done. It's incredibly snarky, of course, but it's so effective against this Trump White House. This is what we needed more of, honestly, during the debate. Kamala Harris clearly, I guess, her advisors or Biden's advisors told her to tone it down a little bit. Don't be too abrasive. Don't be too angry, as a lot of people have issues when they see an angry or a woman who's angry, who's a politician. So I read a Vox article about this, describing how, you know, the Kamala Harris advisors or the Biden advisors were worried that she would come off as an angry black lady, which to me is ridiculous. Kamala Harris in that debate with Pence should have done way more, should have been a lot angrier. That said, a focus group, a Fox News focus group after the debate was actually sided with Mike Pence because they thought Kamala Harris was too abrasive, too angry. So these people exist, meaning that you got to rely on unfortunate dipshits like Pete Buttigieg, who does have some skill here. You have to rely on these people to go out there and push that kind of message in the way that the ticket should be pushing it, but are unable to because of the way that it may come off to some people.